What is up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the Renegade Roundtable here on our YouTube channel. I am Jeffrey Kirby, and look who we get back this week.
I'm back this week. Let's go.
I am so excited to get Caleb back this week. It's been, I've missed having Caleb here with us on the show, but obviously the full duo is back for this week. School obviously does come first, so you got to handle that.
What you got to do. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm excited to be back. Talk some Steelers football. Talk a little bit of Penguins hockey. And talk 5 seconds about the dumpster fire that is Pirate baseball. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, baseball. There's a whole dumpster fire and stuff that we could talk about all winter long about what the hell's going on with.
And we can save that for when it actually hits and baseball walks them out in about a month.
Yeah, we're December 2nd, I think, is the day. That's a new.
We got a month, so we're gonna see a lot of deals cram through now. I don't think the Pirates gonna make any moves besides like their usual claiming stuff.
Right.
The big move that's going around Twitter, though, Pirates Twitter is the Phillies just declined McCutcheon's option.
Yep, and
we are in need of an outfielder, and we need to spend a little bit of money. And there's this tiny little town called Pittsburgh that would love to have you. And oh, by the way, your wife is from DuBois, and you love the city, and your kid's name is Steele. It's the perfect reunion.
this city right here.
Yeah, I don't know if Kutch has ever heard of us, but we're the Pirates, and we're cool a little bit. You can win a couple of games with the should-be Gold Glove center fielder we got. You can come play right field, mentor, Wilmer Defoe. Yeah, let's do it. Bring him back. I mean, that's what people are missing, though. We're at the point, we're at the end stages of these losing seasons. We had a seed where everything was, tear everything down, and you can only go up from here.
Right.
Especially if the CBA is going to bring in some minimum spending floor, like what a lot of players union want. So they put that floor at $60 million, then we got to come out of nowhere and spend $30 million. We need an outfielder. We need to spend that on something.
Yeah.
Might as well give Kutch a 2-year deal. You want to see people come back to the seats. If you're Bob Nolan, do you want to see your name not get ripped through the mud? Spend a little bit of money on Kutch. It's not even crazy. You're not gonna have to pay him much. He just got declined from the Phillies. He's not having great numbers, but we could bring him in, kind of like how we brought in Cabrera a couple years ago.
Right.
It could work. We'll see.
But yeah, I know. Obviously, I was at PNC Park towards the end of the season against the Cubs. Pirates did win. I am excited. I was excited about that. Obviously, that was a hell of an experience. And speaking of Pittsburgh, I'll be back next weekend. I'm going back to Pittsburgh next weekend for the Steelers-Lions game. A bunch of us are going. It's a hell of a time that's about to happen in Pittsburgh.
Going down to the Steel City.
Yep, I got.
That means for the few of you watching, if you see Jeff and you find him and you call him out as a member of the Renegade Roundtable, you will be the first person to ever do that at a Steeler game.
Yeah.
So, be quick. Try to find him. Stalk him in the stadium.
Oh, there will be a million pictures, and if you got me on social media, or you can follow me on Snapchat at JBK2MVP, that's where I'll be posting a whole lot of stuff in there. Speaking of the Steelers,
Let's go.
I know a lot. For those that do follow me, all 2,995 of those. I was going in on Twitter this week on the Browns. Some posts might have apparently been a little controversial, but that's also here nor there. But at the end of the day, another year of the Steelers beating the Browns and the Browns being in shambles.
Isn't it just? It's like a movie.
So
it's like a movie that has a perfect ending. You had this, and it started last year.
Hold on. I have a timeline of this.
Oh.
2017. The Steelers beat the Browns to clinch their 0-16 season. 2018. I'm sorry. 2018. The second matchup. Right after that Monday morning after is when they fired Hugh Jackson and Todd Haley.
Yeah, but those are other movies. Every time a coach gets fired and the Browns fall apart, it's like a perfect movie.
Well, and then 2019, that was the game. Yes, they beat us. Yes, the whole Myles Garrett, Mason Rudolph thing happened, but that was the game they lost all momentum. They won, I believe, one game after that. After that game, they lost their best defensive player that year because that defense was not good, and they lost all hope. 2020 comes around. If you don't recall, all week long, everyone is talking about, is Baker Mayfield really the quarterback? Is Baker Mayfield the guy? Should they bench him? Is he done in Cleveland? And what's going on now in 2021? The Browns fans are in more shambles than you could ever think. There are people all around. Obviously, I've been listening this week because this is heaven. This is music to my ears. Having to listen to this and hearing Browns fans argue: is it Odell Beckham? Is it Baker Mayfield? Is it Kevin Stefanski? This has just been beautiful. Because
I'm right there with you. I've lived the last couple of years, unfortunately, in Cleveland area too. This week, I turned in to Blue and the Fox at 2:00 on Monday afternoon. Oh my word, was it great to hear this franchise fall apart. It's like everything was okay in the world again. And you know what? That's not our Super Bowl. That's just like the Browns fans last year when they beat us in the playoffs. That was their Super Bowl. And you've seen the memes of like that in the trophy case is the only thing they got. That was the peak of like their Browns fandom. That was it. You know what this is for Steelers fans? This is normal. This is when you can finally return back to normal after COVID and go back to a sporting event. This is when something that's sold out at the store is finally back and everything's finally okay. Like, this is just returning to normal, business as usual. Steeler football is going to be okay. This is not our Super Bowl. We're just happy we're back. We're normal. Everything's okay. We're at the basement where they belong.
And here's what's so funny about this is because all last week, and obviously it's very, very known. I think if there's only one thing that's more known about the Renegade Roundtable show is the fact that I am from Cleveland, Ohio, and I currently live in the Cleveland area right now. And all last week, I was getting nothing but shit talk. I was getting absolutely destroyed. I was getting texts all week long. I was getting all week long talking about, oh, Ben Roethlisberger's time is done. Myles Garrett, he's destroying Ben Roethlisberger. You guys can't do nothing on offense. TJ Watt, he's overrated. This, that, and the third. So then what happens on Sunday? Well, actually, before that, what do? I don't really talk that much. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to let the game talk itself because I learned my lesson. Because here's what happened. Obviously, Caleb, you and me did not know each other during the playoff game.
Yeah.
We did not know each other. One thing that I did all week on Twitter that week, I talked the most shit you could have talked. I was going in. And what happened? It bit me in the ass. We got our asses whooped. And there was that. So what did I do? I said, you know what? I'm going to lay low. We'll let all the Browns fans talk their little trash. And then when Sunday comes, it's going to be a hot mess for them. And that's exactly what happened. That's the
mindset I take, right? That's the mindset right there I take, and I've taken for a long time. I'll put a story out on my Instagram. I'll put a story or two. I'll maybe make a tweet about my teams and their success. I will never trash talk another one's team because I don't need to trash talk it. I'm confident my team will do all the talking, and they do, and they put up. So Browns fans, I mean, it was, you can't really like judge them on one thing. I mean, it's getting kind of hard because they failed the last year. But it was like they finally could talk, and they've been talking all the time. Shoot, I have a guy, he's a friend, he listens to this show, and he texts me every time the Browns, or every time the Steelers do anything wrong. He texts me. And I just went back, it's like, dude, I don't even know who your team's playing this week. Like, let's just chill out, like, as a joke. And I didn't say anything about how bad his Browns were. I just like, I don't even know who your team's playing this week. And it was nice to finally this week, like, you know, like they're all gone. It's the noise is gone. It's like I don't have to go overboard about talking about my Steelers. The noise is gone, and I could just enjoy football because football is back to normal.
Yeah, what was funny about all this, about this whole entire week, and now going on 10 days. Obviously, going with the Clowns for a minute, they went and beat an opponent in Denver who we already beat as well, and they were going with Case Keenum at quarterback. It was like, okay, whatever. And then there was the question of who were they going to play? Are they going to play Baker? Are they going to play Case Keenum? So what happens? They play Baker Mayfield. He doesn't look terrible. He didn't look great. He looked But at the end of the day, what impressed me the most about that game, and if you go back on my Twitter, I posted some keys to the game. Stopping the run. What did we do? We held Nick Chubb, one of the best running backs in the NFL, to 61 yards. That is pretty damn impressive.
I'm one of the best lines in the NFL.
Yes.
We saw that with Dearness Johnson coming in.
Yeah, Dearness Johnson. He came in his first start, had 146 yards. That was tied for the second most rushing yards in a first start in NFL history.
Yeah.
So then you have that. And what was another one that I had? You got to get pressure on Baker. What do? They got pressure on him. They made him feel uncomfortable. They made him look, in a way, the way he was moving around in the pocket made him look like his 2019 self, where he was moving out of the pocket way too early. And even in the first drive, where TJ and them got to him, you're like, okay, this is what we needed. And then on top of that, you lose to a team who did not have a kicker in the second half.
Alright, I gotta stop you right there. Where do you fall on that? Do you like that call, or do you not like the call? So go for it there. Because I know that Steeler fans are pretty opposite when it comes to this.
So here's my thing on this. And I know if you guys watched my reaction video that I made, I kind of went on a little tangent on that. That was also literally right after the game, and I was full of testosterone at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Looking over this a couple days now and thinking about this, we're only mad at the call because A, it did not work, and B, because Chris Boswell ended up getting a concussion. If it would have worked, we would have loved the call. We would have been praising the call. But because it did not work, we're going to absolutely shit on him on the call as fans. And, well, okay, I think you're in the minority on this.
Yeah, and I have a reason why, too, and I'll explain when you're done.
Now, one thing that I did not like is the fact that Chris Boswell, it felt like he held on to the ball for a million years. Where I feel like, and I don't know what the thought process of the play is supposed to be. I don't know the ins and outs of that particular play. So, I could very well sound like a jackass here. But from an outsider's perspective, from a fan perspective, looking at this, you're saying, why are you holding on to the ball so long? If it's not there, throw it out of bounds. We're going to ridicule the call, but we still have a kicker in the second half. One of the best kickers in the league. And we'll go from there. But that ended up becoming a big story coming out of the half. Because now you're figuring out, is Presley Harvin... we learned he never has kicked a field goal before.
Not since his senior year of high school in the same situations.
Right. So, and then you look at yourself. I think at that moment, I believe you were up. I think you were...
Because it was... At half, wasn't it like 10-9 at half? Or 3-3 at half?
Or it might have been... It was either 3-3 or 6-3. One of the two.
It was 3-3. That field goal would have made it 6-3.
All right, here, I'm Look, it was.
It was 3-3 at half. Because a lot of people were like, oh, good old AFC North football.
Yep, it was 3-3 going in half. So now you're like, okay. And then on top of that, they go down in the first drive of the second half and they score a touchdown. And you're thinking, oh boy. You know, what is this going to mean? Because now you got to be aggressive. As we saw, there was a situation where you would have typically just kicked a field goal, but you had to go for a 2-point conversion because you can't trust Presley Harvin to go and kick an extra point.
And then we had, what was it? We had a penalty, and we still went for it from the 12. We went for a 2-point conversion from the 12 because that one got called back just because we didn't have a kicker.
Yeah, and it's a whole messed up situation with that. And now, because you're looking at it as they, in the third quarter, they get the touchdown, and it's 10-9.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, damn, if we really lose to by 1 point in this situation, it's going to be bad. And Mike Tomlin's going to get ridiculed all week long. But obviously that did not happen.
See, I fall on the other end of it, right? I take that call, and I take how we're getting ridiculed from that call, and you're right, if nobody would have ridiculed him if it would have worked. That's how trick plays work. That's how trick plays work across the NFL. If they work, everybody's happy. If they don't, everybody wants somebody fired. But here's the thing. We hate on Tomlin because he fits the same groove, has the same games, is predictable, and isn't aggressive. We hate on Tomlin for being we liked a while back when they had Haley and they would go for 2 points frequently.
When he was one of the most, they were one of the most aggressive teams in football.
Yeah, that's dried up, and we hate now how Tomlin, it was like, that was Haley, that was not Tomlin. That was Haley with the confidence he could do that. Obviously, we don't have that confidence now, which it's okay. But we had a dynamic offense back then. That was easy to do. But people hate on Tomlin for, like, being the same thing every time. You know what? I like that he went for it. Like, even though that failed, you're on the road. I get it. You're on the road, you take the points. But you know what? You're on the road, you surprise them. When did we see the Steelers fake a field goal? That's rare. And why not give it a go? Why not give it a chance to go for the money? I mean, look at what happened in this. This is immediately what I think of. Look at what happened in the Saints and the Colts in the Super Bowl. Okay? The Saints come out of halftime. They're supposed to do what every team does at the beginning of halftime. You'd smart, you kick the ball off, you play defense, it's a big shot. No, they went for the onside kick.
No, Sean Payton right there at that moment had the biggest balls I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, because if that fails, you have a whole lot of momentum going the other way for you, and you start the second half off well. But if that works, the upside outweighs the downside.
Right.
And you know what? I'm okay with Tomlin making that call. Now, and with Boswell, too. I get it, he should have thrown the ball away, but I like this guy for, drawing out every last second of that play to try to make it open. And the thing with trick plays is they're not designed to give you the best chance of having people open, or else they would look like they were just normal plays. You're not, like the Browns, credit to the Browns, played coverage really well on that play against a team that rarely, and they were ready for it, against a team that rarely does any kind of trickery on the field goal.
It looked like they, knew what was coming.
Yeah, well, I mean, good for them because they didn't, unless they're, the Patriots. But I'm not going to claim anybody else as a cheater except them. But I don't want to talk about that franchise. The Patriots have 3 illegitimate Super Bowls. First 3. I don't count them. I count the Patriots as 3 Super Bowls, but we're the only ones with 6. But that's a long story.
That's a different story for a different day.
That's a different story for a different day. I'm not. Their franchise is overrated at this point. When they get good, I'll talk about them. But they're dead to me. The Browns covered it really well. Credit to Boswell for trying to buy as much play as we possibly can. But can we talk about the passing or roughing the passer call that should have been calling that? Hit to the head, out of bounds. And I get it. The replay from the back looks like, he led with the shoulder. There's that camera angle that was going around Twitter where you can clearly see Boswell's face mask come up over his face. And the only way that happens is if you get hit in the face mask. You don't get hit to the shoulder and your helmet come up over your head unless you're a Pee-wee football player with 3 size too big helmet because you're the last one who got to pick the helmets and your school is small. This isn't Pee-wee football where you just got a wrong size helmet. This is the NFL. His helmet fits. It was knocked up over his head. It was helmet to helmet. He should have been hit. That should have been called. That should have been roughing the passer. That should have been 15 yards. That should have been first down. That pissed me off. And everybody's like, oh, it's a football hit. It's a like, you got to deal with it. No. If that's Brady, okay, let's sub that out. What if that's Brady making that pass? What if that's Drew Brees making that pass? What if that's, Patrick Mahomes making that pass? What happens then?
So, here's what's ironic about what you just said. So, who was on the call for that game? Jim Nantz, Tony Romo. That's CBS's A-team.
Mm-hmm.
You know who was also a part of that game as well? Gene Steratore, who is their rules expert and former referee.
He didn't say anything.
Here, he made a tweet.
Okay.
Here's what the tweet says. Even though Chris Boswell is a kicker by position, on this fake field goal attempt, he is a passer. A defender cannot hit the passer forcibly in the head or neck area. In my opinion, this should have been a 15-yard penalty for roughing. So he completely admits he said this 100% should have been roughing the passer.
Yeah, he didn't say anything on air either, which usually leads to he doesn't want to publicly come out and criticize the officiating crew because he can't, unless it's like a replayable thing. But on a no call like that, they usually don't say stuff, and that's the biggest tell is when they don't talk about it. But here's the thing too, my guy didn't even hit the ground hard, so where did he get the concussion from?
Yeah, and honestly, and you know what that play reminded me of? It reminded me of the play that we saw with Bud Dupree and Matt Moore in the playoffs in 2016, the 2016 season.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what that play looked like.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing too. Browns fans like to go back to a time when Harrison just absolutely killed their quarterback. I forget which one.
Colt McCoy.
Colt McCoy, thank you. He absolutely killed him. But you know what? That's why they created the rule. Okay? The rule was not in place back then. That was totally fine. Now it is a thing. You can't do that. And they're standing there happy that they killed our victim. Yeah. First of all, if the rules flip and you concuss somebody, I would feel bad if we concuss somebody on the other team. I would. Because I hate injuries. Concussions suck. I've had many of them. I'm not going to stand there and tweet we killed their kicker, but this is great. You know what? Isn't it embarrassing when your franchise is happy that they've knocked out players of yours and it's going to be such an easy win from then on? Because here's the thing. If you're going to win, they're going to beat somebody at their best.
Yeah.
When Russell Wilson went down, okay, and we had to play against Geno Smith, I was annoyed. Because, that gives us an easy game. But you know what? Then we have to hear about, that was an easy game. Do I think this dude's going to beat the Seahawks with Russell Wilson? Absolutely. I think that Tomlin played down to that because Tomlin usually does that. I think we would have been just fine against Russell Wilson. But you know what? Now we got to hear that we beat Geno Smith. And it wasn't Russell Wilson. I'm confident we would have. Okay? You don't celebrate when other teams' big players go down. You want to beat them at their best, especially when you concuss them.
And you know what's funny about what you just said? And this goes back to the clowns and their fans. The clans, that's what you like to call them. You always heard, or at least I always heard in the Cleveland radio when they would discuss who would it was in a situation of who would you rather play if Baker or Ben Roethlisberger, Mason Rudolph, and all their fans would say, I don't give a damn who's their quarterback. A win is a win, this, that, and the third. But guarantee you, and this is the issue that I have with their dumbass fans. The issue that I have is the amount of hypocriticism that goes on. If we were to beat if Case Keenum would have started that game and we beat them, they're saying, you didn't play Baker Mayfield, you played our backup. Whatever, this, that, and the third. Do you think they were saying that when they beat Mason Rudolph? Hell no, they weren't saying that.
They were happy to beat the Steelers.
They were, and that's the thing. It's the amount of hypocriticism that their fan base has. I personally saw it on the Bird app this week, a.k.a. Twitter all week. I've been seeing it.
That right there. That right there makes them the worst fan base in sports. I'm sorry. They are one of the worst fan bases in American sports. Okay? And here's the thing. That is why I find it very hard to root for the Indians. That is why my favorite NBA team is the Los Angeles Clippers, even though the Cavaliers are the closest NBA team to me. Because you know what? I realize that the same stooges who cheer for the Clowns are also Indians and Cavs fans.
Actually, here's my thing about that, being in here and from what I've discovered. Right now, the Cavs they're fun to watch. I just watched them beat the Portland Trail Blazers last night. I watched the game. It was fun to watch. But the fans, and this is something that I have a theory on with them. Their fan base, they claim that Cleveland is the best sports town in America. Wrong. You are the best. You guys are the best Browns fans. Everyone knows. And everyone, if you ask 1,000 people who are sports fans in Cleveland, unless they don't like football, they're all going to say the Browns are number one by a mile. They honestly, right now, the Cavs are not great. They're young and they're rebuilding.
They're fun to watch, though. I'll give you that.
They're fun to watch. Most fans do not give a flying damn about the Cavs.
Exactly. That too. You know what? They didn't care when LeBron left. They burnt his jerseys, and then all of a sudden, praise LeBron, he's back. We're going to win a championship. No. Screw that fan base, the fair-weathered fans, all the ones with the new Browns jersey. Every time I see someone with a Browns jersey now, it's like, you know what? It stinks that they went to the new jerseys, because then you can't tell the people who have the tags on their jerseys. I know,
obviously, I know some Browns fans who have been there for the terrible times.
Oh, yeah, they exist.
And a lot, most of my IRL friends have been like that. They were around. They were buying season tickets at 0-16, 1-15, 3-13, and all that. So, those fans, I can respect. Because you were actually, you weren't a bandwagon. Nowadays, people are, they wear the Browns jerseys because it's the quote-unquote cool thing to do. Just like
that's the thing is, I have respect for those same people. I'm a Pirates fan. I go to 20 games a year, 15 to 20 games a year, to watch my team lose 15 to 20 of those games. Okay? We are rebuilding. We're bad. Our owner doesn't spend money, and you know what? I'm still looking to go buy more Buccos gear. I'm still looking at when I can get my hands on good deals on tickets. And I'm still looking to see when I can go support my team.
2022.
I have respect for those Browns fans, okay? That's 10% of their fan base. And the annoying ones, it's everybody else, the ones that I'm getting mad at that are talking them up, or the 90% that's back. I don't see myself getting mad at those fans, because you know what? Those fans understand what we're now going into, supposedly, with the Steelers having to rebuild and falling off. Those fans understand our side of it, and those fans aren't the ones giving us crap because they realize what we're about to go through.
Right.
Okay? Those fans I have respect for. The ones I would love to sit down and watch a game with those guys.
I
watch Browns Steelers games with those kind of people.
I just did.
Fans, yeah. You know, here's my thing. If you can't name the quarterback, name 3 quarterbacks who played between Johnny Manziel and Baker Mayfield. If you can't, you're not a Browns fan.
Is it sad the fact that I can, or is it just because I'm here?
I can because I don't care about this team, and I know about this because I like to.
Well,
that's my question.
Like I said, it also is sad that the fact that that's all I hear coming in my ear all day long if I'm not on Twitter or if I'm not at Renegade Roundtable being able to talk Steelers. That's all I have coming in my ear 24/7 is just nothing but Browns, and it's just it can be hell at times. But let's get back to the Steelers part of things because
forget this dumpster fire with town. Let's move on to the Bears.
Yeah, well here and that's something. Well, I want to get into the actual game for a minute because I want to talk about some of the things that I liked. I like the fact that this is the 3rd straight week Ben Roethlisberger's not throwing an interception.
Did you see that stat that CBS put out? Yeah, that.
In fact, give me 1 second and I'll read it out. It is I should have been more prepared. Okay. He is the only quarterback who hasn't thrown an interception since week 5. And that's Ben Roethlisberger. During that time, he's 3-0. He's thrown for 748 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions among qualifying quarterbacks.
See, I like that stat, but I like to play a little bit of devil's advocate and say we had a bye in it. So I'd like to know the number of quarterbacks. So if you took out their worst game, what are their best 3 games in that span, and where does Ben fall among that? And I don't have it with me now, but I was looking into it, and Ben's still right.
Well, no. So the reason why I think because I think that what they were trying to do is put it during because they put it when he was 3-0. So they started that stat from Denver, the Denver game. So they added the Denver game, the Seattle game, and the Cleveland game. That's the 3 games that they were adding in that. So I think that's where they were trying to get with that.
But we did have the bye week in there. Yeah.
But I think that's one crucial thing is the fact that Ben Roethlisberger hasn't thrown an interception. Mm-hmm. I think one thing too is we're starting to see the run game is starting to get better again.
More importantly, the offensive line is looking like they're starting to gel, which is what we said from the beginning.
Yes.
They needed time to gel. They weren't going to be the 2016 Cowboys offensive line from the start of the year. They weren't going to be our offensive line when we made that joke of a running back Le'Veon Bell look like he was amazing. Okay, they weren't going to be that great Steeler offensive line that we looked at for a long time. This line took time to gel. It took time to gel before, and Ben was on to carry the team without running. We had a lot before pre-Bell. The team could not run the ball.
No.
Yeah, that took years to build that line back up, and we did. It's taking time now. We're not done yet. I would like Banner to come back, and I'd like to. I don't know Banner was back this week. Why did he not play?
I don't.
News out of that, or
I think it was kind of like a healthy scratch kind of deal. But I think we're going. So this is the final week that he could get put on the active roster, or else he can't play the rest of the year because you have 21 days to activate a player once he comes off of IR.
I think they were giving him they're giving him as much time as possible, which is understandable. It also surprised me too because I would think that was a game you'd want to get some relief in.
You can look at Zach Banner, the whole Zach Banner thing. You can look at it on 2 sides. You can look at it as he's the most physical lineman we have. He's I guess quote unquote a veteran from the team, and he's a guy that understands what's going on. But now you can play the flip side of that. You can play devil's advocate and say, well, this group that you have right here has been playing together all year long. Do you want to implement a new guy and possibly hiccup the chemistry that's been building and the gelling that's been going on? So I think that's the issue.
I'd like to see Banner start, but I'd like to see him come in, especially if we can't get him in some 6-line sets too. We're just 6-line sets. Throw a fullback in there. Let's run the ball. Let's see what happens.
Because now I think this would be a different issue or a different situation if David DeCastro was here. Because him and David DeCastro, for part of 2020 before he got hurt, had been working together. Now you have Trey Turner, who has never worked with Zach Banner before, who just got here this year, and Trey Turner. So that could be something we're looking into as well. Or if he was to play left tackle, I'm not saying he's going to because Dan Moore has done a fine job as he's continuing to grow. Kevin Dotson, he's a guy that was there last year, so he has some type of chemistry with Zach Banner.
Yeah, but how much did Banner actually play last year?
He only played it was like a game and plus, he got
hurt in the Giants game.
I thought he got hurt in the Broncos game. Week 2.
I could have sworn he got hurt in the first half of the Giants game.
I could have sworn he got hurt in the Broncos game. If I'm not, yeah, we'll have to look into that. Someone in the comments, let us know.
I'm gonna pull that up.
But yeah, going with that and looking at this game in general, Ben Roethlisberger averaged 7.8 yards per carry. He was only sacked twice. And that's another thing too that's funny is the fact that all week long is the Myles Garrett versus T.J. Watt discussion. We get to finally see it again, and T.J. Watt has better stats. Ben Roethlisberger was sacked twice. So that that's nice to see that you're limiting the amount of sacks that you're getting. Najee Harris had 26 carries for 91 yards and a touchdown. He only had 3.5 yards per carry. You would like to see that jump a tiny bit, but the fact that he was close to 100 yards and the fact that he does have a touchdown, I'm okay with that. That's a good game by him. And then on top of that, he still had 3 receptions for 29 yards. So he was doing a little bit of everything. Deontay Johnson, 6 catches for 98 yards, almost had 100. Now, I know here comes most of that's from that one play, which was smart by Matt Canada to throw that little slant on second down when everyone's expecting you to just run the ball and try to make them use their timeouts.
And it's coming from that one play that put a complete dagger into the game. Yeah, okay, count it.
I liked what they did with Pat Freiermuth. That catch was insane.
Oh, I thought he was out of bounds when he first did it.
At first, too. Yeah, at first, I saw the ref put up the touchdown. And I looked at the people that I was around. They're like, what the hell? And I'm like, let me see the replay. Because I'm not going to get my hopes up and then see a toe dragging the white line and it's out of bounds and I'm getting all hype or nothing. So I'm like, hold on. I want to see this. We see it. I'm like, oh, my God. That is...
What's Ben and these crazy, ridiculous, fit it in there throws we've seen through his career on the right side of the end zone? I was just thinking through. Look at all these, the Martavis Bryant flip.
Yeah.
The one-handed catches in the corner. The Santonio Holmes catch to win the Super Bowl. It's on the right side.
That right there. That play in itself. Ben Roethlisberger even admitted it. He was like, I don't know why I threw it, but I threw it.
Hey, and you know what? Sometimes you just got to do that, and it works.
Yeah.
By the way, I pulled it up, though. It was the Giants game.
Okay, well, I lied. I apologize. I don't know why I swore it was the Broncos game.
See, that's for me, too, is why I really just want to see him play. Because I feel like we haven't even seen him play since 2019. And I would like to see what we have in Bennett. Because honestly, I feel like we're still a piece away still from being, and I don't know where, and I don't know why, and I don't know how it's going to shift, and how it's going to play out. But it just seems like our line, we need to spend a pick and get another piece to this line.
I don't know. It's a whole thing about it. And obviously, going back to real quick, some of the guys, Zach Gentry had 3 for 39. I like to see him, even though Pro Football Focus decided to use his picture. Did you see that? Where they were talking about grades for I believe it was week 8. They put out grades for the rookies. Pat Freiermuth was 4th or 6th or something, but they used Zach Gentry's picture. I'm like, wow.
Well, shit, ESPN just did that too with the Oklahoma State stuff for basketball. They put out how they're ESPN's main article about how Oklahoma State is gonna have to forfeit their tournament spot, they can still play. It's a long story with violation stuff, but all the pictures they used was Oregon State. That seems like it's becoming, in a world where information is at anybody's fingertips. It seems like within the last month we've had so much of that nonsense, which is come on, man.
Yeah, and just with this game in general, one thing too that was nice is the fact that I was happy at the fact that TJ Watt was able to get 1.5 sacks. He was able to shut up everyone. TJ Black Gaming says Najee Harris won Rookie of the Month. That is right. I did see that today, and so you were able to see that. Cam Hayward. I don't know what more can be said about that man. That man leading into the third down play that led into the 4th down play where we stopped them in the first half was mostly Cam Hayward. Getting penetration and moving down the line of scrimmage and making the play. And I'm just like, I don't know what more can be said. He is on a mission this year. He's pissed off. He is playing pissed off, and I absolutely love it.
He's playing pissed off, and he's up there with, like, I know Watt, and Watt is great, but Hayward's up there with, like, team MVP on defense right now.
Yeah.
It's a toss-up between the two.
And obviously, with TJ, we saw what he did against Seattle. That play still lives rent-free in my head. That strip sack that he had. But obviously, that is old news. We do need to focus now on Monday Night Football against the Chicago Bears.
Blackout game, baby.
And
these games are so much fun to watch, man. Blackout. Heinz Field, blacked out like it's a playoff game, in those uniforms that are 7-0 with Ben. I am excited. Tomlin never beat the Bears. That ends Monday.
Yeah, there's only 2 teams he's never beaten. The Bears and the Saints.
The Saints we should have beaten.
Yeah, that one because of a ticky-tacky call on Joe Hayden, but that's a different story for a different day. I believe we get a revenge on them next year. So, and that game should be
Is it next year?
It's next year in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Looking into this game with the Bears, they're 3-5. They have Justin Fields, who I still got a thing for Ohio State. This is the one game a year where I can't root for him. Any other year or any other game, I'll root for you all day long, Justin. I got you. But just like how you are with Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's not even the best Justin at this quarterback in the NFL right now.
Oh, here we go. But this is a game that schematically should favor Pittsburgh. Should. So the Chicago Bears allowed 4 sacks and 5 quarterback hits last week against San Francisco. They are last in sacks allowed. Or when I say they've given up the most, with 30.
Their line is decimated.
And Chicago's the run-first team. Looking at them with that, we just saw what Pittsburgh was able to do against another run-heavy team, who's a better run-heavy team than the Chicago Bears.
Arguably the best run-heavy team in football.
There you go. Outside of probably Tennessee, who just lost their running back, so...
I don't even know that, because Tennessee, I feel like, is all... Tennessee's Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's just impossible to take down. Unless you're,
Robert Spillane.
Unless you're...
Robert Spillane.
I can't talk today, yeah. Just meeting him in the gap, and knocking him...
They just played Oklahoma drill in Nashville, Tennessee, and just... Robert Spillane won.
Yeah.
But looking at that game, that Chicago Bears San Francisco game last week, Chicago allowed 145 yards on the ground, which is 5.6 yards per carry, and 3 rushing touchdowns. That is, if you are Matt Canada and Mike Tomlin, you need to exploit that. Right now, I don't believe Khalil Mack is going to play, if I'm not mistaken. So in that case, so Jimmy Garoppolo last week was 17-28, 60%. That's not that great, but he threw for 322 yards and threw 11.5 yards per pass, or average yards per attempt, and he was sacked 0 times. This is a game where schematically Pittsburgh should be favored, and they are favored in Vegas. But it's the same thing that we go through every single week. They're going to find a way to make this a game. Look at the game against Denver. In the first half, we looked great. And then they allowed Denver to come back, and then it took a James Pierre game-winning interception in the back of the end zone for us to win that game. You look at the Seattle game, as you mentioned, they played down to that game. And it took...
Philly game last year.
Yeah. Look at the Philly game last year. Travis Fulgham. It was the Travis Fulgham coming out party. And
in a game when Claypool had 4 touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean, that's the issue. And that's one thing that I have an issue with. And I'm going to get here, TJ, I'm going to get to your comment right now. I can't wait to play the Lions. That's going to be the big breakout game. I'll be at that game, first off. And second off, that is, even that game, knowing our luck, Jared Goff is going to torch us, and it's going to be a ball game.
He's going to do like what Mike White did, and he's going to give like 500, or no, what?
405 yards.
800, 900 yards against the Bengals. That's what it felt like. That's what Goff's going to do to us.
And and now I do have TJ Hawkinson as my fantasy tight end, so if you want to throw a bunch to him, just not scoring touchdowns, I am very okay with that. But that's we'll get back to our regularly scheduled program. This isn't fantasy football.
Unlike Jeff, I hope my fantasy team completely falls flat on its face every time they play the Steelers.
Well, no, there's certain situations where it's like you could have players that like if they do okay, like if TJ Hawkinson, gets 8 receptions for God knows how many yards, but he doesn't score and they still look like trash. Well, then I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too is we have 2 games where we are without a doubt favored in. 2 home games coming up where we're without a doubt favored in.
You're a 6.5 favorite right now.
Yeah, if we want to make any noise this year, if we think we can come back, and I think we can. You have to win these games. These are must-win games.
Look at it this way. A month ago, we were being laughed at. We were 1-3, and everyone's saying, "Oh, this is definitely the end of the Pittsburgh Steelers. This, that, and the third, and blah 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 blah." Now you're on a 3-game win streak. You're 4-3. You have Cleveland. And I'm mentioning all this because all three other teams are legit, going into that week we're legit contenders to win the division. Cleveland, they're decimated right now. They're dealing with a bunch of stuff. Their fan base doesn't even believe they're making the playoffs. Cincinnati, they just got torched by Mike White. Joe Burrow got torched by who? Reaction video also here on the Renegade Roundtable YouTube.
Mike White putting up 1,300 yards in one game.
And then Baltimore. Yeah, they had a bye week last week, but the last game they played, they got torched by Cincinnati. And I want to ask you this because I never got a chance to ask you this because since you've been in school and stuff, we haven't been on the show together in a while. Is your thought process on us losing that Cincinnati game change at all because of how?
Absolutely. My thought process changed on that game when you looked at a couple weeks ago when we looked at the NFL standings and the AFC, Cincinnati was on top, the Raiders were close to the top, and the Packers were second. I was like, we lost to the Patriots, the Chiefs, and the Saints. We lost to, what I mean? Like in years past. We
lost to this year's Giants, Astros, and we can't say the Atlanta Braves, but they lost to the Dodgers.
Yeah. You lost the Dodgers, you lost the Astros, you lost the Brewers. You lost the White Sox. You lost to these good teams.
Gotta hate the White Sox.
And, yeah, I had to throw that in. I had to get that in there, man. I got a roast Cleveland fans. I'm still on it. Indians fans, you can't escape that. Oh, I'm sorry. Indians fans. I apologize.
Woo, boy. That's a whole different ball game, too. That's a different discussion if you know what's going on. But obviously we don't.
My word. That's the most Cleveland thing. To change your name, and you're getting sued by a roller derby team, and you might have to rebrand again.
Hold on. You know what's funny, and I'll bring this out real quick, is I got this from the final Indians game ever, and I actually have a schedule that has Guardians on it, which right now is seeming like these first two squares are probably not happening. So I will not get to see the Cleveland Guardians going up against the San Francisco Giants in April. Which
okay, I follow the other side of that though. I don't think that there's going to be a delay at all because both sides realize that there is no revenue. They've done this in 2020. So while both sides are apart, we haven't even started discussions yet. I'm on the side that they're going to get stuff done. We might have a shorter spring training than normal, which, you know what, is fine with me because, you know, the second half of spring training just really ticks me off anyway because it's like, let's just play games that matter. Okay? We might have a shorter spring training, and, you know, they might cut the season down to like 156 games instead of 162. They might cut, 154 games instead of 162. So we might lose, like, the first, you know, what is that? 8 games because they're going to cut it down. But I don't think they're going to delay this. I don't think that either side wants a delay.
That I think was going to end up being a different discussion for a slow day in the winter because I personally disagree with that. But we'll get into that at some point down the line. But yeah, it's a whole that whole situation with the Guardians is so hilarious.
That's awesome.
It makes me laugh.
Alright, we gotta pivot a little bit. It's coming up here in about, let's see, 9 minutes.
Yeah.
It's about for pregame stuff. We got a big matchup going down in the Steel City today. We got the Philadelphia Criers coming in, thinking that they're all that with their overrated goalie, their overrated team, their overrated colors. I mean, who wears orange? What pro sports team wears orange? I'm calling out Oregon State, Oklahoma State, Philadelphia. They're all the clowns. You don't wear orange.
Cincinnati.
Okay? Cincinnati. You don't wear orange. Orange is not a real color. If you're hunting, if you're going out here trying to get some venison for your freezer, wear orange.
The Miami Marlins, at one point in time, they had orange.
What was that?
Miami Marlins, at one point in time, had orange.
The Marlins had orange.
The Astros, the cheating Astros.
The Astros, yeah. Hey, if you wear orange, no, you're dead to me. I don't do teams with orange, okay? They're coming in here thinking they're all that, okay? But let's be real. The Penguins, COVID has absolutely decimated us. We're now down Crosby. We're now down Dumoulin. We were just down with Tank. We were just down Carter. We have Russ down with injuries.
Mike Sullivan's not coaching tonight.
Mike Sullivan's not coaching tonight.
Yeah.
When did that pop up?
I DM'd you that today. It came up on the Pittsburgh Pirates Twitter. Per their Twitter, more bad news to report. Head coach Mike Sullivan will not be available for tonight's game against Philadelphia Flyers due to COVID-related protocols.
Dude, I missed that. Let's be real. I was doing all my Penguins researching out before class this morning and was doing homework, so I've been a little bit out of it. I apologize. But Mike Sullivan, that's a huge loss. Dude's been coaching his butt off right now with this AHL lineup that doesn't have centers. You know what? Carter's back. I think Carter's back again for tonight. We're going to be, listen, it's early in the season. We started out better than what I expected. 3-3-2, we got 8 points on the season, but we're in a tough division. We have to start picking it up. These are the games that we're going to look back on when we're pushing for the playoff race that are going to lose us spots. Now, Crosby's not out. Malkin, good news, I heard today, Malkin is progressing way quicker than usual. He's skating. He's ramping up his skating. He's ramping up his shot. He's looking to come back sooner than the end of December timeline, sooner than the Christmas timeline. And we're going to see Crosby and Malkin be back doing their thing. Okay? It's good that they got, it's not good when anybody ever gets COVID. But it's
I had it earlier this year. It ain't fun.
Yeah, it's not that fun. But you know what? They're going to be okay. We're going to be okay, but we need to start putting some of these games together. We need to start finding a way to win some of these games. We ran into some really hot goaltenders, and it's hard to score on those. But we need to start putting together a couple of wins here because it's going to cost us at the end of the year. But it's always fun to play the Flyers. We're going to beat them tonight.
Here we go. Hey, fun stat too. So Carter Hart, their main goalie, has the slightest edge in save percentage, or at .928 compared to Jari's .926. But he also averages more goals per game at 2.33 compared to Jari's 2.15. Boom.
See, here's the thing, too, though. Jari's numbers were doing great when we actually had defense. See, here's the thing. When you have 3 pairings in the NHL, and when you lose your top guy, okay, Letang plays really well with Dumoulin. Okay, Matheson plays really well with Pedersen. Okay, Marino plays really well with whoever you want to throw in there. Okay, but when you take the top guy out and you shift all your lines up, it messes up everybody's chemistry. Okay, and so if your defense does, and this is coming from someone who's followed hockey forever, if you don't have defense, your goalie is going to look bad. Look what we're killing. Fleury's getting killed right now. He's getting absolutely killed in Chicago. Is he that bad of a goaltender? No, absolutely not. Well done, Fleury. Fleury was a Vezina candidate. In fact, he won it last year, if I'm not mistaken. Okay?
And they just lost 4-3 yesterday.
What was that?
They lost yesterday to Carolina, who was 9-0.
Yeah, they're pretty good, but they're also not decimated with injuries. And
that is true.
They've played Chicago now twice. They played Arizona. Like, we'll see. They can't hold on to that forever. But I think Florida's better. I think the Hurricanes are good. But remember, it's not good to be hot at the beginning of the year. You want to be hot at the end of the year. You do need to win these games, though. These games are going to cost us. Right now, we're, 10 points behind the Hurricanes in equal number of games played. We played 1 game less. We're 10 points behind. That's a division team. That's a team we're going to end up chasing this year. They're getting points and we aren't. So we need to start putting together some of these. I understand that we have injuries. I understand that it's hard to win. We're playing with an AHL team, and we've played some good teams. Calgary is good. Tampa is good. We've played some good teams. We need to start putting together a couple of wins. Let's get some wins at PG Paints Arena. We know we can. Let's get these fans to actually show up to this team. Let's make this place loud. Let's show that we have one of the best atmospheres in the United States when it comes to hockey. And let's start winning some of these games. Let's start tonight with the Flyers.
So one thing that I was looking at, I have a question for you, but I want to make a statement too. Is so the plan for me as of right now is I'm trying to go to the Browns Steelers Monday night game.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm also wanting to do as well is Saturday the 2nd, the Penguins also play the Sharks, the San Jose, right?
San Jose, yeah.
Okay, so I'm thinking I might try to make I might leave on Saturday and go to a Penguins game on Sunday for my first Penguins game ever.
You gotta do that, man. Penguins game, the atmosphere is electric.
And
you have to do that.
At some point, that'll probably be when I end up buying a jersey or something, or I might buy one beforehand. But yeah, that's an experience I haven't, or that I've been wanting to have. But I have a question for you. Obviously, as a guy that has no idea what the hell is going on in hockey.
Hey, we'll take it though.
How important really is a head coach in hockey? I've always been curious about that.
So a head coach is incredibly important.
Okay.
A head coach is you have your captain, you have your head coach, and those are the guys you rally behind. We've seen it many times. We've seen it twice with the Penguins. We saw it with the Blues. And within like the last 12 years, I think it's been more than those 3, but at least those 3. Where like a head coach was fired just to change the scenery. Those guys rallied behind the head coach that was fired in January, and they went on to win the Cup. Happened in 2009 with the Penguins and Dan Bosma coming in, and it happened in 2016 with Mike Sullivan coming in. That guy, those guys are the coach is the one who knows to make adjustments. The coach is a coach in hockey is pretty important. A coach in the NBA, not important. A manager in baseball, not important. Coach in football.
I say with baseball. Someone
like a manager in baseball can manage not being from there. Like they can do all of this stuff and set whoever the bench coach who's coming in, set them up with success.
The reason why I say that, real quick, getting off topic, is because obviously, with the Guardians, Terry Francona, one of the better managers in baseball, he goes down, he has to get surgery all year. DeMarlo Hale comes in, and then all hell breaks loose.
Well, that's a different story, though. That's you lost your manager for a long time. This is like if you have to go a game without your man. If you have to go a game without your coach, is what I'm talking. Like, you can... Francona, if he was out one game, could prep up whoever's going to come in.
Probably Sandy Alomar.
Yeah, coming in and... Yeah, because isn't that who Was your man? No, it wasn't.
DeMarlo Hale was the manager for the rest of the year once he went down with the injury.
Okay. But that's a really different story. I mean, like, even football. Football is, like, you can make the case, but you have a team around you. NHL, it's pretty important. They're the ones who make the decisions on line changes. They're the ones who know their players. They're the ones who know what's going on. They're the ones who make in-game adjustments. They're the ones who call the play. But then we got Todd Reardon is going to be the coach soon. Okay? Todd Reardon has also been there. He's our power play coach. Todd Reardon knows this offense. He knows his players. Not as good as Sullivan. Not as good as what, in my opinion, is going to be a Coach of the Year candidate again. And if the Penguins make the playoffs and Sullivan doesn't get Coach of the Year, he got robbed. That's a bigger robbery than T.J. Watt. That's the bigger robbery that's happening in Pittsburgh. Nobody realizes that. But we'll be okay. So Reardon can come in and be fine. But we need to start. I don't know what's going on with COVID there. The team maybe needs to change up their protocols or something. But we need to start putting some of these games together. But we always play up to the Flyers. Penguins. That's the thing is the Steelers play down to competition. The Penguins step up to competition, and it's fun to see. It's going to be a fun game tonight, rivalry night. We hate the Flyers. Let's do this.
Well, looks like we need to get off here because we also got Penguins to watch. And for those that might also watch Thursday Night Football, it's an ugly game. But knowing me, I'm a football fan. I'll still watch too. But
now you got to watch that Penguins game.
Well, I'll put the Penguins are going Penguins on my laptop because I'm not going to be able to get on my television. So I'll put it on my laptop, and then when it's time for because that game's not for another hour and a half, the Thursday night game. That's irrelevant. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. It was a hell of a show. Caleb, I'm glad you were able to come back for this week.
Glad to be back. This was fun.
Obviously, we're going to, anytime he's able to come back on, he's going to be on with us because I also need a little bit of a lot of carrying when it comes to hockey talk because I don't know what the hell's going on.
And it sounds like your baseball opinions are wrong, too. So.
Oh, boy. Well, that's a hot one that's going to be coming in the winter time.
We'll get to that.
A hot Thursday in winter. Oh, boy. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. If you're going to the Monday night game, stay safe. And until then, peace out.
See y'all.